Are you thinking of getting into the real estate market to sell your home? This is what we're going to discuss today. But first, show reel, hit it. Getting into the real estate market and selling your home can be a very anxious, provoking time and filled with a lot of stress. There are so many things to consider when selling your home. One such factor to consider is whether you're going to do it all on your own or whether you would like to be represented by a professional realtor. In this challenging market, it's a shifting market, and it's so important that you have 3 important skills if you're thinking of listing your home on your own. Number 1, you want to make sure you're able to market your home. This is very important, and it's also very involved. In another episode, I actually talk about my 17-step marketing plan. And in this marketing plan, I describe how many different elements there are to marketing your home. There's so many things to consider, including, but not of course limited to, professional staging, photographers. You want to make sure you have that online presence. When you list with a realtor, many will actually have a specific website dedicated to your property and also a very pronounced social media presence. That's very important as well in today's day and age. Not only do you want to have physically appealing marketing material, but also visually appealing material, because this is what will go on your website or on the online forum that you decide to use, and buyers and sellers will have access to this. If you're listing on your own, perhaps you want to contract a marketing specialist and a photographer to help you out. But the realtor will have these people at their fingertips. With the realtor's marketing experience, your property will be marketed at a very high level. You could actually be making a huge mistake if you're doing this on your own. Number 2, knowledge of your regional market. Wherever you're listing, you really need to understand the intricacies of that market. And you need to understand and study that market in that particular area. Not only do you need to know and understand that particular climate of that market in that area, but also the trends of that market that you're in. And also you need to understand the area around where you're actually going to be listing your property. So the neighboring markets and how they're influencing the sales within your particular region. So there's micro markets, and you need to understand how all the factors interplay in and among your area. What's more, you need to understand the recent market trends, the days on the market, pricing strategies, etc. And what's the climate of recent offer nights? That's very important as well. So as you go through the process, if you're doing this on your own, you need to understand all these factors. Pricing your home. You need to know exactly how to price your property properly. This is a very, very involved process, and it's important that you don't make a mistake. The longer your property sits on the market, it can develop a stigma if you don't price it properly, and it can be very difficult to sell. The longer it sits, people will start to wonder what's wrong with the actual property. Do you feel you're competent enough and confident enough to have the know-how to actually list your property properly as a professional realtor would do? I mean, a realtor actually studies the market day in and day out. And an experienced realtor is constantly studying market prices and trends. So it's really critical that you have enough knowledge to pull comparable sales and know really what to look for. I mean, there's so many factors into pulling comparables. You need to consider property characteristics and features, such as the front property width, the property depth, location, property condition, finishes, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. So many factors go into comparables. I mean, let's face it, you want to compare apples to apples, right? You want to make it valuable. You don't want to make a mistake, in other words, in overpricing your property and having it sit idle, as potential buyers, as I mentioned, will wonder what's wrong with it. So simply looking online may cause you to miss some key features of a particular property and comparable property. So it's very important that you understand the area and you have a good sense of the area and the neighborhood and the geographical area around it, as I said. Are there any major distractions, trains, tracks, highways? The bottom line is you really need a qualified realtor who is especially trained to properly price your home. Also, as I mentioned earlier, really understanding the intricacies of the market. For instance, timing is really important. What day is best for you to list your property? Are you holding offers? There are so many factors that go into deciding the important information about listing your property. You need to understand and have a plan in place in the worst case scenario. Say, for instance, what happens if you've held offers and you don't get any? What are you going to do? What are your next steps at that point? So these factors you need to consider. And without that experience and all the important factors that go into selling your home, pricing your home, marketing your home, understanding those important factors that go into selling your home, there's a lot of due diligence and paperwork and having the proper team of professionals behind you. Like, will you work with a stager? Will you have a mortgage broker? Will you have a professional lawyer to work with, an inspector? The transaction can be very complex and very overwhelming. It's a stressful time as it is. So you need to ask yourself, is it really worth the agony of saving a few bucks? I mean, this is your biggest asset. So remember, the job as agents is to sell your home properly for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. If you do have a professional agent, their job will be to sell your property to other agents who will then in turn market it and let their buyers know about your property. This is how you attract buyers to your property. And it's very important that you get your property out to the potential buyers. So remember, most buyers are represented by a buying agent, and the agent has the buyer's best interest in mind. Why wouldn't you want to be represented by a professional realtor if you are a buyer? After all, it doesn't cost the buyer anything. So many times we see for sale by owner properties looking very poor. They're not presented their best. And in this particular situation, it may not take much for a for sale by owner to sell their property, but the owner would also need to realize that there are so many factors that go into selling, and by the time they actually figure these factors out, the home has already been stigmatized, as I mentioned earlier, and sitting on the market, and it's no longer getting the attraction and people coming through. So eventually these for sale by owner clients often notice that they're missing so many factors and how complicated the process is, and they end up placing their home for sale with a qualified realtor. They get stuck and then they look for the realtor for help. So often the realtor is able to actually take their property full circle and sell it quickly by correcting some of the errors that the for sale by owner person actually made. So before you decide to list your property on your own, talk to a qualified realtor and make the right decision up front. Sell your property in the least amount of time for the most amount of money. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and also the notification button so I can share some great videos like this with you. If you are thinking of moving to Toronto or within Toronto, don't hesitate to reach out to us on your favorite social media platform. We've always got your back. We've always got you covered. Until next time, this is Pamela Haines from Homes by Pam, helping you with your real estate matters.